school basketball, junior and seniors, running up and down the court. It's one thing to argue with their parents. Ricky knew their great-grandparents, most of them. I said to him, it might be time for you to stop repping, Rick. Do you ever think maybe at age 70 you could probably call it a day, turn in the striped shirt? And you know what he said to me? He's the kind of guy he is. He said, Kevin, there's always the Special Olympics. I can keep up. Someday soon you'll see Ricky on ABC calling balls and strikes and fouls on poor little kids who can hardly make it up and down the court. He'll probably still be going faster than Ricky. I still wonder now, and there's a couple of coaches here today. Most of them were outside trying to give Rick flats on his car. Because they said, Rick makes these calls and he's not even facing the right direction. He's calling fouls on people in the stands. And they keep saying, Rick, no, Rick, the game's over here, Rick, Luckily, he's got his son Eric now in the game. So now you can be assured there'll be no fair games called in this county. I have some bad news for Rick and Gaynell. Where's Gaynell, the dancing queen? Years ago I thought that was Eric, but that's now, we're going to keep that. We're going to keep that title. No. He may dress funny, he may have a mustache that most 16-year-olds would be proud of, but I still think Dancing Queen should go to his mother. Where is the Dancing Queen? Oh, there she is. Well, first of all, let's give her a round of applause, because she drove everybody crazy for a month getting this party. The only thing she couldn't arrange was the Red Sox were supposed to play the Yankees today. Didn't work out that way, but they would have lost anyway. Now the bad news, gang, this will be the last big party because the budget's going to be drastically cut. I don't know if you read in the Freeman, that paper that comes out occasionally with more than a 3-day-old news in it? Apparently IBM is revamping their whole pension system on people that retire. It's going to be fair to a lot of them. A lot of them will be happy, they'll get a raise. It's going to be based actually on the amount of days you worked at IBM. Rick's pension is going to drop to $4.82 a month. But once they take out the medical, I think you'll be mailing the check to Binghamton occasionally. Now, the other thing I could talk about, because I have some friends here from the old days. I don't know if the skinny people over there in the left ward. Step aside there, Stewie. I first met these people when I was lucky enough to marry a girl from Kingston. And that was my other girlfriend was in jail at the time in the Bronx. And I did promise to wait for her, but hey, 25 for life. God, I'm 21 years old. I'm going to wait till I'm 50? But we're still seeing each other now. She's out, she's a hairdresser and a tattoo artist in the Bronx. Very nice girl. And most of those felonies, they're gone. But I come up here and Ricky invites me to the Super Bowl. And I said, well, I'm not really a big athletic guy. I've never even been to a football game. And Rick said, what's the football game got to do with going to the Super Bowl? And so I found out that you go to the Super Bowl for a week, so you can't actually go for the day. And you only go if it's a place like New Orleans. And you go with Rick, and then you find out the day of the game, you have to wear costumes. Costumes? I went to Catholic school. What are you talking costume? Well, he's dressed as a rep with his whistles and his hats. Who was the lion? I know there was a frog, there was a lion. I know that because when the police lined us up. So I'm all right, though. If the FBI ever runs these, it doesn't look like me. I look more like a frog with like a red face. But we had a great time in New Orleans. I actually never went to that game. Did I ever go to any of the games? I went to the one in Miami. And we went to, again, we go to the game in Miami, and Rick says, it's really bad. Miami Stadium, what was the name of the stadium? Yeah, it was dry. Now I'm with Dave Thornton. Now let's go there. Danny McGrain, Stewie, him. Who else? Big Bob, Babaloo. And we get in the stadium, they're serving Coke and iced tea. Are you kidding me? So my job was to finagle my way out at halftime, which I did, to get booze, because you weren't allowed to leave the stadium. But I had some phony press ID, because I used to write for a small newspaper. So I convinced the cops that I have to get back and get my camera to get the halftime show. I take a cab, I've never been in Miami, I take a cab to Little Cuba. I find a Cuban bar, and with my broken Spanish, I convince him to sell me a bottle of vodka with the cab running outside. I pay him, back to the stadium, inside, in my bag with all my press credentials. We're the only people in that stadium that were drinking rum and cokes and vodka and something else. We had a great old time. We didn't see much of the game, but who knew? New Orleans was even better, because I didn't realize in New Orleans it was a 24-hour town. And we were in a bar called Georgie Porgy's in the Hyatt, which was actually connected to the stadium. Not that that helped, because I never made that game either, even though it was in the building, okay? But we went out afterwards in New Orleans, several places. One was Brennan's for breakfast, because we happened to be up at 7 a.m. in the morning when they opened. And they didn't want to let us in because we were still in costume. Remember this, Stu? Well, everybody was lined up the day after the Super Bowl in suits and ties to get into Brennan's for breakfast. We're still in our frog outfit, the lion outfit, and we probably had a little too much to drink, right? Maybe. Not you, Rick, but probably Stu. So they didn't really want us in there, so as we were walking away, I noticed the kitchen door to the place was open. So we walked in through the kitchen, and the maitre d' comes in. You want to see a surprised guy when he walked in his dining room. And we're all sitting there. And he didn't know how we got there. He was trying to blame somebody for how these guys did. They weren't real happy. Pete Rozelle was over there waving at Rick, probably on a few calls you made against his grandchild or something in a game in 1932, or whenever you started reffing. But that's where we stayed out all night. And Ricky fell asleep in the back of the car, and he was all dressed up, you know, everywhere you go, he's got his bow tie on, he's dressed like... And I said to Stewie, you know, I feel bad about this, because there he is in the back of this rented car. I said, why don't we call the police, because it looks like a mob hit, you know? There's this guy all dressed up in the back of the car like that. And I said, we'll call up and say, we just found the body of Ricky Bocce-Ball Tavares, who's been shot in New Orleans for impersonating a referee. The night before, when he was actually in his ref outfit blowing his whistle in the Latin Quarter when the police arrived, because unbeknownst to us, the whistle was the same one the police used in the Latin Quarter. And all these police showed up.
Susie.
And, you know, a couple of frogs, a lion, a guy in a ref outfit, maybe 5:30 in the morning blowing the whistle. But it was very interesting because they let us go. Remember, Stu? But the cop said that if he blew the whistle one more time, remember where they said they would put that whistle? And I'll tell you, that cop was so convincing when he said that. Now the better adventure, and again, I'm a Catholic school kid from the Bronx, I never saw people go crazy. Like, these are country people. What the hell's wrong with these people? Right? We go to the one in Miami, and afterwards we have to go to the Fountain Blue. Your friend was bartender. Dave Holly's bartender there. We're in costume. Dave Holly gives us an American Express card belonging to some poor guy that passed out. So why shouldn't we eat well, right? We're in costume, what the hell, right? And remember Mighty Dan McGrain and the Stu Ball? Well, Stu I found under a curtain on the 11th floor when we went searching for him. We had a crappy old rental car. Danny McGrain was outside. I think he was dressed as a lion. And he wanted to go back to a disco we had been at the night before. And we said, Dan, we're going home to Fort Lauderdale. The valet pulls up with a beautiful car. Cadillac. Nice Cadillac. We're real nice. Dan had good taste. They took it. Okay? So now they come to Stewie and I and say, you know, McGrain just stole the car from the valet parking. And we have to go find him before the police do. So I said, well, he's got to be at the disco. So sure enough, we go. We're almost sober. Disco's packed. There's Dan. You can't miss him. He's in a lion's outfit. Said, Dan, you got to bring the car back. I mean, they know what you look like. They're looking for a lion. You know? with a New York accent. And there aren't a lot of them in Miami. So I said, Dan, just give me the keys. I'll drive the car back. Stewie will take you back in the crappy car he rented. Because when you go with Stewie, you know you're going to budget rental. You know? He's going to take the Chevy Capri. We'll take the Cadillac. Where's the keys? He said, you know, when I got here, I got paranoid that the police might be looking for me. So I threw them in the dance floor. Now, you're looking at a disco as big as this back here. I said, you threw them in the dance floor. I'm on the dance floor trying to do a couple of moves, shucking and jiving, looking for keys. And the keys are bouncing all up. I get the keys. We pull up back to the Fontainebleau Hotel. And of course, the police are waiting for us. And the irate owner of the Cadillac, who had found Ricky in the lobby sleeping on his binoculars. So now everybody's going to jail. Danny McGrain says, I can't go to jail. Stewie can't go to jail. They were Kingston's high school teachers, and they had called in with the flu. I said, you called in with the flu? He said, yeah, well, I didn't hear the rest of the sentence. I called in and said, I had the flu to Miami for the basketball. They missed the part about the football. So the guy wants everybody going to jail, except he's leaving for Dallas the next morning. And the cops were nice enough, because they were laughing at these guys, to say, well, if we take him to jail, you got to stay tomorrow to come to court to press charges against the Frog, the Lion, and the Ref. You know? It was almost like I expected Judy Garland to show up. You know? It was like, I'm surprised the cop didn't say, where's Judy Garland? Everybody else is here, the Lion, the Ref, everybody else is here. So the cop is nice enough to let us go. He gets the Texas guy calmed down, and he says to us, where are you going? As drunk as we all are, we got to drive to Fort Lauderdale. So the cop says, don't do that, go downstairs in the Fontainebleau, there's a coffee shop, right? Do you remember that? We're down to the coffee shop, we're going to behave, have coffee, and somebody says to the Lion, Danny McGrain, that New York sucks.